past 2 years, we've seen a huge increase in demand for developers, programmers, whatever you want to call them. Now, the reason for this is that the world of technology and especially e-commerce has been booming exponentially. Mix that in with companies that used to only hire locally, that would be very strict on working in the office, being in the same city. Now the pandemic's hit, everyone is working remote, and they've had to accept or maybe realize that remote work does work, and therefore now they are looking to hire anywhere in the world. So we can see in countries such as South America, Eastern Europe, Asia, where more and more companies are going to hire from there. So it's become a very competitive market to try to get developers. So a lot of people ask me, how can I hire good developers, so on and so forth. One thing is definitely hiring them. So it's going to be a lot to do with how interested are they in your company, what kind of salaries you're willing to offer, and so on. But another big aspect that people don't really think about is how to work with developers, right? Now, I've been doing project management and managing developers for 9 years now, so I've had a lot of experience in what to do and what not to do. So I'm going to share with you today some of the important things to keep in mind when you are working with a developer or a development agency and you need to do a project, right? Let's say you're hiring them to do a project. So let's say that you've hired the developer already and you are talking about what you need done. Now, let's say that you're doing an e-commerce store, which is basically what we focus on. The more complex the project is, the more careful you need to be with the requirements that you give them, right? Because giving them some requirements that are not so clear and they go ahead and build an app with it could be a huge disaster and a waste of time. But let's say that we're doing an e-commerce store. So first of all, you need to be very specific with what you need. You may think that to you it's very clear, or you say, okay, I want, this app, or I want a chatbot, but you don't specify which one. Or you say, okay, I want people to be able to submit a photo of to customize my product when they order it. Well, that's not enough information, right? So we need to think about, well, where are they going to submit the photo? At what stage of the process of the checkout or the buying process? Is there a maximum of photos? Is there a maximum file size? What should the photo look like? Where should it be sent to? Like all of these details, you want to work together with your developer, but you also want to make sure that you've thought about it, because some developers will maybe understand it a different way or choose to do it in their way. And then when you go and they deliver it to you, you realize that it's not what you wanted. And at the end of the day, the fault is going to be in your hands, or you're going to be the one who needs to extend the timeline, pay additional, whatever it may be. Now, speaking about the timeline, point number 2 would be setting really realistic timelines. The worst thing that you can do to a developer, and let's say you hired a developer on your team, is that you're going to put a lot of pressure on them and not give them realistic timelines. Of course, things may happen and you may have something urgent that needs to be done or anything like this, but if this becomes an ongoing experience for them where you're constantly putting the pressure on them, they're going to end up quitting. I mean, like I said, there's such a demand for developers that you may spend a lot of time training them or bringing them on, and then you lose them to another company because you didn't know how to make the work for them fair, right? So you want to speak with them and try to understand the timelines. You can challenge them sometimes if you think, well, why is it going to take you that long? And they can explain it to you. But if you're constantly challenging them or telling them things like, oh, well, that's so easy, you should be able to do it in 2 hours, well, they're going to get really frustrated and they're going to be out the door pretty soon. The third thing is that when they do a good job, you want to make sure that you acknowledge them and that you point out and that they see that you've seen that they did a good job. A lot of times when we're working on projects, and I've been guilty of this as well, managing an agency, is that we are in such a time crunch for everything, and can be a lot of stress going on, and we forget to really acknowledge people when they've done a good job. So that can get frustrating for them because they feel like you're not really valuing them. You're just constantly piling more and more work on top. And again, the salary itself is not enough of an acknowledgement. It's nice to give some kind words once in a while. And the last one is to get to know them on a personal level. So I actually remember my first job as a project manager in an agency. My boss told me that I should, if the developers asked me to play foosball with them, I should say yes to try to bond with them. And I was terrible at foosball. And I remember when they asked me and I said, okay, let's do it, because my boss had suggested it to me. So I, tried to be a team player. After some months, I did learn and get better at the foosball, but the most important thing was that I got like real connections with the developers. And what really helps is that, you know, at the end of the day, if they have, let's say, a set timeline that they're going to work and you need something from them after hours, or you need a favor, you need some advice, whatever it may be, if you've bonded with them on a personal level, they will do you that favor. But if you just are all about work and you don't really try to get to know them personally, then it's not really going to go very far. So they might do their job, but they're not really going to feel like they want to do you that favor or help you with that extra thing. And of course, you don't want to take advantage of this, but it does go a long way. And of course, it's nice to work with people that you feel like you can get to know them on a personal level, right? So just at the beginning of a stand-up meeting, or when you talk about a project, ask them, you know, how's your dog, how's your child, how's your wife, whatever it may be, you know, just being a human being with them. Even if some of them do tend to be a little bit more nervous or not so comfortable being social, do it through Slack then, or whatever chat you're using. Of course, within the boundaries of work, you don't want to get too personal. So those are my 4 tips. If you have any questions or want some advice on project management or managing your developers at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, or feel free to book a free consultation on our website.